Accessibility and inclusion is so important to the Life Science Centre, not only because it's morally the right thing to do, but actually it's good business. The more you make your centre accessible to people, the more families can feel this is a venue that's suitable for them. So it makes really good business sense. We work really hard to make sure that we remove barriers that people would see. And the thing is, once you've removed those barriers, people don't see a barrier, they don't actually see the work you've done behind it. So for example, when we've fitted a new lift, people will just see it's a new lift. Actually, it's not. It's a new lift that takes 13 people, that copes with 2 wheelchairs, 2 buggies. It's bright and light, and it's very accessible. And where our old lift wasn't as accessible, but in the future people will just see it as a lift, but we know we've deliberately created that lift to make a difference. So the importance of staff training is to make sure that everybody has a chance to have the skills and confidence to do something. For the training we've had through North East Autism Society is top to bottom. Everybody gets it. And when you've been with the organisation for a short period of time, within 6 months it will come round, you'll get your turn to go to it. But it's not just about autism. We've had sight loss training, we've had deaf awareness training, Makaton training, we all get equalities and diversities training. But by having this kind of layered training, you build up people's confidence. And you build up people's confidence not just to support one community, but to be confident to try and make a difference. And they might not have the training to make the difference for example, somebody who's got dementia. I haven't mentioned that, but to actually know that they could be brave enough to have a try. They might not know if they're getting it right, but to be brave enough to have a try, that is really empowering, and it makes such a difference. And my experience is that audiences really appreciate you trying. If you haven't got it right and you've gone about it the right way, they'll give you feedback because they know you were trying to get it right, and they'll give you feedback so you can get it right next time. It's a good conversation to have. It's really powerful, and I know the staff have these conversations together. As I say, it makes me really proud. A thing that I think would be a value for businesses to know is that sense of when staff take those brave steps of trying to support people who've got accessible needs, is actually to listen to their feedback and, where appropriate, praise them, and where they've not done something quite right, help them to do it right for the future. It's too easy to say to somebody, you haven't followed the rules here, mind. That's not what I want you to do. Actually, for accessibility, you've got to be willing to try and move around the margins. So if you said to somebody you can't move from your desk, then if somebody is needing a bit of assistance, you might have to walk from your desk. They're helping that person. You need to empower them to do that. We've seen that cultural change over the last 7 years or so. We've seen that evolving, and staff starting to take those brave steps of using their knowledge. Well, at the Life Science Centre, without question, we are getting a reputation for being an accessible and inclusive venue. I'm going to say we've worked hard at it, but that maybe wouldn't be so true. It's actually just evolved. It's been about cultural change. It's not necessarily been about setting off to do things. It's just actually evolved, that people have got on board and made a difference. And now we had an accessibility assessment carried out tail end of 2023. This last year was about understanding accessibility assessment, deciding what the plan would look like, reflecting as well on the VisitEngland's accessibility toolkit and merging the two together so that we could come out with an action plan that would help us to improve accessibility throughout the centre. So we'll do all these actions, and we're in the process of doing some of the actions. Actually, the centre's closed just now to allow some of the actions to be carried out. We'll do these actions over a period of time, but the truth is, when the public come in, they won't see a difference because they will just see that's what they expect here. They expect this to be an accessible venue. And we know that's what we're creating, is a very accessible venue by removing barriers like, in the last year, we've replaced the cafeteria at the front of the building. It used to be on 2 different levels. So there was a trip, tables were all tight together, the counter was high. So we've lowered the counter level, the tables are now spread out, we changed the floor level so it's all on the level now. The thing is, people will just walk in or push in their wheelchairs, plenty of space for them, but it's just, that becomes the norm, and that is the norm here. Well, the Visit England accessibility toolkit's a good one, I have to say. If we were just starting off now, I'd be happy to have looked at that. I think when you look at the depth of it, you could get a wee bit overwhelmed. But the truth is, it's very clear about saying, don't be overwhelmed. Just pick things off at bite-sized chunks and have a go. Here's some top tips about how you could do things. So it's actually, that toolkit itself is in a very accessible way. And if we had just been setting off, I think it would have been really, really valuable, and I'd have been delighted to have come across it at the start of our journey. So I can't say more of it. I think it's very well constructed, it's very accessible, it's easy to follow. And the way we used it is we used it as a traffic lighting system, so we took all the points in it and we traffic lighted where we thought were against it. So again, helping us to identify any gaps and barriers that might be there. But to take it forward, we need to ask the communities. So it's not just our view. This is what we think. Now it's time to ask the communities what they think about our view.